Hey guys, it's Wingy here and welcome to another Big Finish review. This time we are talking about the fourth, I think, adventure with Paul McGann, which is called the Minuet in Hell? Minuet in Hell? Minuet in Hell? I don't actually know how you say this because it's spelt different, or am I just an idiot? I mean, I am just an idiot, but I still don't know how to say it, so I'm gonna say Minute in Hell, but if that's wrong, I do apologise. Now, like I said, this is the fourth story with Paul McGann in his run of adventures, and I've got to say, so far, I'm a tad disappointed. The reason why I say that is because I liked Storm Morning, I thought that was good. I liked Sword of Orion, I thought that was good. I thought the previous story, Stones of Venice, that was really dull and boring, and then we get to this story. Now, this again is kind of a mixed bag for me. However, like with everything, it's not just black and white, there are some grey areas, so I'll start off with the negatives. Now, the first half of this story, I just thought was incredibly boring. Plain and simply, I did. There was a nice little mystery there with the Doctor having no memory of what had gone on, similar with Charlie as well, but the story and the plot, it didn't really grab me, and as much as I was intrigued to find out what was going on with the Doctor, it's a plot point in Doctor Who that I've seen quite a few times at this point. Like the Doctor losing the memory and they've got to remember who they are. Usually it's a post-regeneration story or something like that. But either way, it's something that I have seen before. So yes, it was interesting and I was wondering why this is the case, but it's just a normal plot point at this stage. I thought Charlie didn't really do a hell of a lot in this story either. I do really like Charlie as a companion. I have been enjoying her stuff so far, and I really like India Fisher, but the problem is at this stage, like, I want more of her with the Doctor, and in this story they're separate for the majority of it, and I wasn't really a fan of that. I mean, it's not just the fact that they weren't together in this story, it's just I felt like Charlie didn't offer that much to it, and I would much rather the companions in any Doctor Who story be a little bit more involved, because otherwise what's the point in them being there? The pacing I thought was pretty bad as well. Like I said, I think the first half is quite dull pacing wise. See, in some stories pacing like this would work, but in this one I don't think it did, and that's probably because the story itself didn't hook me. So because it's taken its time to explore things and world build, it just left me behind a little bit, and I was kind of just like, can we just move on now? The whole stuff with the demons themselves, I think, is probably the weakest thing about this entire story. It's not until the latter half of the story that you really find out who these demons actually are. And again, it was a similar sort of thing to the Doctor losing his memory. Like, I've seen it before. Not just that, I thought that the voices of the demons themselves were quite bad, actually, quite cheesy and laughable, sort of generic demon laugh where someone is clearly just doing an evil voice and they've just made it sound a little bit warped. So whenever they're supposed to be threatening and there's this big moment where they're supposed to be intimidating some character, or some character's clearly petrified, and I'm just hearing these voices thinking, lol. I think that's the big shame with this story, really, that the villain, which is supposed to be the main thing about the story, or well, no, not in this case, it's not meant to be the main thing, there is something else, but one of the main things of the story just fell totally flat on its arse for me. And if a Doctor Who story doesn't have a good villain, sometimes you can live with it, but most of the time it's usually going to mean it's not going to be a great Doctor Who story. So let's talk about some of the positives though, because there are actually positives in this story. Now, the Brigadier is in this story. It's always nice to have the Brigadier back. He's one of the best characters in Doctor Who history. I think everybody loves the Brigadier. There's got to be someone out there who doesn't, and if you're that person, well, fuck you. But the point is, the Brigadier is awesome. It's great hearing him, or seeing him usually, with all the different Doctors, and with McGann it's exactly the same sort of thing. Again, the annoying thing is, I feel like the Brigadier didn't necessarily need to be in this story. If you're going to have the Brigadier return, and you're going to have the Brigadier be involved with a brand new version of the Doctor, at least have a story that is specifically written with the Brigadier in mind. It kind of feels with this that he's a little bit of an afterthought. He feels like an extra piece of the story that realistically, if you take out, doesn't really change the story all that much. Plus, the frustrating thing with the Brigadier in this as well is something that I was worried was going to happen going into this story, knowing that the Brigadier was in it, was he barely interacts with the Doctor. There's a moment sort of midway through the story, I think, where he interacts with the Doctor, but at this point the Doctor still doesn't know who he is, so it doesn't really count. And then it's really towards towards the very end of the story where the Doctor and Brigadier team up and then save the day. I really wish they would have gone a different way, where the Brigadier and the Doctor are working together throughout this entire story, and it feels like that sort of classic Pertwee Brigadier dynamic where the two are working together and they're part of the team. However, the moments that we do get with Paul McGann and Nicholas Courtney, I do think are great. I really like them together actually. It's a weird pairing, but it works. The main thing that I really enjoyed about this story was Nicholas Briggs, if I'm being totally honest. I can't remember his name now. Is it Gideon? I think it's Gideon. His character in this, I thought was going to be something totally different. But what they did with his character in this, I thought was really, really fun, actually. So the way that he was talking throughout the entire story, you knew that something was off. You knew that something about him is a little bit suspect. And you get that impression fairly early on. And to me, I thought the direction that they were going to go into was the Master. And the reason why I thought that was because, well, you brought the Brigadier back. It'd be a nice little callback to have the Master in it as well. But no, the cliffhanger to I think part 2 is he reveals he's the Doctor. Now obviously this isn't true, and it turns out that it isn't actually true, but it's fun whilst it lasts. No, the thing is with this story there's a whole memory thing, or well actually no, with him I think the TARDIS landed on him and the Doctor and his mind merged briefly. But it was a fun little story arc, and I think that in itself could potentially be a story. I think if you take the demon shit out of this story, focus on that, you might even have a better story. But I do like some of the mind stuff in this story where it's like the Doctor's mind has been placed into multiple different people. I thought that was a really fun idea, and the annoying thing is, again, like I keep saying, the demon stuff really bogs down some really cool and really clever stuff. I think the problem with this story, it basically comes down to the fact that there is some good stuff, but there's some bad stuff weighing it down, and ultimately it is one of those forgettable Doctor Who stories. It kind of feels like, similar to Stones of Venice, one of those, like in the modern era, the first couple of episodes, yeah, they're alright, but they're never usually like the best episode of the series. And that's kind of the vibe I got from this. And it is a shame because I do hope that the Brigadier, I mean, I know that Nicholas Courtney did more Big Finish than this, but I do hope that there are more adventures where the Brigadier comes back and has more adventures with like the 8th Doctor, for example. Whether he does or not at this point, I actually don't know. But yeah, overall, Minute in Hell, probably like a low 6 out of 10. I think it's frustrating because after the really lackluster first half, I really started to get into the story, and then there was just bits of it where I was like, I don't care. In the comments below though guys, let me know what you think of this story. I know some people did tell me already that they didn't think I was going to like this one, and I can't say that I disliked it, but I can't say that I massively liked it either. I'm just sort of lukewarm to it. But if you've heard it, and you like it, or you're lukewarm on it, or you hate it, whatever, let me know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description, as always. So if you'd follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But until next time, guys, in terms of Big Finish reviews, I don't actually know. Now, I know there's the Paul McGann stuff. I am going to be doing pretty much all the Paul McGann stuff. It'll take me a while, but I will get there. But let me know if there's any other series or maybe other Doctor Who stories or spin-offs, whatever it is that you want me to review from Big Finish, and I will do my best to get round to them. But until then, I shall bid you adieu. Is that how you say it? I don't know. See ya. Now, like I said, this is the 4th story with Paul McGann.